Okay. So that's still on time. I want to record this meeting, and you have a chat there over there if you don't, I think you all agree that I'm recording this. If you don't want your video to appear, just switch off your camera. I'm also using this for later on to upload. I will upload these lectures onto the platform, so you can check these later. Or if for some reason sometimes you cannot come to a lecture, then you will have the chance to do this. Hopefully everything goes all right in terms of technical terms. So the slides are already there. The literature is already there. All of these theoretical roots of economic geography very well explained in English in the e-learning platform. And also when I see, or when someone tells me that there is an interesting article, for example, in German, I also will include it there. There is one very relevant book that I will show you later, where you can really grasp if you find difficulty, or my way of speech, or the English literature. There is already a publication in German that is really, really cool in explaining all this terminology. So economic geography is about the where, the why, and so what questions regarding the understanding of the economy, of territories, the organization of the economic landscape, not only about for-profit entities, firms, large enterprises, entrepreneurs, but also about the institutions that play a role in defining sometimes spatial economy, spatial policies, economic policies. And the European Union, the Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation, the World Bank, the European Central Bank, just to mention some national governments, federal governments, in some cases national governments, in others or regional governments, state governments, depends of the territorial context we are talking. So all of this plays a role in our economic landscape. Just looking in your surrounding, not necessarily with the housing, but with the economic activities that support the society we all live in. Okay, and then this to tell that we are not here concerned about detailing specifically that this country, the major enterprise in Sweden is IKEA, or that the large contributor to the GDP in Portugal is the electrical company that actually now 50% of the shares belong to a Chinese multinational. Okay, this is not specifically about this detailing. This is more a question of place marketing in this context, but is exploring the dynamics and today the society live in. So everything we see in this map, Volkswagen, L'Oreal, BBC, whatever, they are, is very difficult to and very challenged to tell that they are only attached to that territory. There's a lot of dynamics, economic dynamics, that support global supply chains, these global networks that make these firms, these enterprises play a role in the economic landscape that we talk about. So we don't talk about in economic geography about one specific case. We may talk, but we try to do that in a dynamic perspective and in evolutionary sense. So we look at the past, trying to understand this evolution process, very much as myself evolve through time, yourself, you evolve from the secondary school to this level now. So there is an evolution, you learn new things. So that's what we try to bring to the evolutionary economic geography. And here, this is not much to tell. It's just time to think big and to take the risks and explore the subject. And I'm here mostly referring to your essays, to the seminar. So take the risk to explore a topic that you feel attached to it, and also within the exam. So also don't expect me or us to ask, please define evolutionary economic geography. We certainly not ask this question. It's time to elaborate, to be critical, and to explore this interlinkage based on what we will discuss in these 11 lectures. Of course, it's very premature advancing whatever question we may have at the moment. So what the call here is to start from today being critical, start to build bridges, theoretical and eventually through a case study, depending on your research process. Try to start building this rational linkage between concepts. We'll be talking about supply chains, inequality, a lot of clusters, entrepreneurship as well, strategy, corporate strategies, dynamics. This is all about dynamics, industrial dynamics, economic dynamics in a broader sense. And we'll be talking also about concepts that are coming from the European Union, place-based, for example. This leads to some dependencies from specific territories, and also how these territories sometimes use specific strategies, for example, the resilience strategies, to overcome some deep-rooted issues in that regional development path. So how we will do this? So it's important to, again, to start drawing connections between what I bring to you, but please go beyond my own words. Check the literature. Really, everything you see on the ONAT about more than 20 publications per lecture. Of course, you can be selective in this context. I may point you out later on core literature. I will do that for each lecture, but you are also free, and I will share it with you later, sources to find additional literature. And if I now bring examples towards your seminar, it's important also to choose a topic that is your interest, a topic that really makes you almost in an automatic manner go on Google Scholar and search for publications. I will give you an example later, or something that really attracts your attention, and then you feel comfortable in writing. That's the best way to go about this seminar. So it's important also to position yourself, as I position myself in the beginning. And very much what I bring you today is the result of my positionality within the discipline of economic geography and overall academic research. So I bring a number of examples from the global south. I try to build bridges between economic geography, the organization of the economic landscape. I'm being repetitive here on purpose, with sustainability principles, because we live in a society and we are currently facing grand societal challenges. So it's important to building bridges towards sustainability, and how we can make a balance between economic activities in space and sustainability, and select the appropriate literature to build your line of reasoning. In essay, the most important element is be coherent with your rationale. So starting with the general definitions, trying to build up your case and be consistent in that regard, and try to justify why you are approaching this subject and what is your contribution to it. So here within the lectures, the goal is to think geographically, is to think not necessarily to assimilate everything I'm telling, is to create thought as well, and hopefully will be reachable, and also to communicate among us, and to question. And in this context, you can make questions via chat in English, and if you feel less comfortable in that regard, you can drop one question in German. I will try to translate it. I have very limited knowledge in German. I will try to translate it, or ask the help of one of our colleagues here online, and then we'll answer it. So don't be shy in this regarding. So just bring the question, big question you want, and if you want to be a more one-to-one communication, just write to me also in German, if you will. I will use the translators or ask support in this context to try to answer your questions. Then in this context, we'll make mistakes, which is very normal. And as we have also to be aware, and it's very important to share with you, of these social constructs, everything we see around here, around us, I mean, and also in these lectures, the concepts that they are very much socially constructed, means that they are the result of the research of one researcher that is located in this specific territory. And so that's why we have to be critical. So there's a lot of, however we try to be as objective as possible within our research, there is also some subjectivity impacting the way these concepts and these paradigms within certain disciplines, from planning theory to sociology, to geography, they are entailed and they have been impacted by a certain level of subjectivity. So then we learn this understanding of the social constructs within academic research, and we try to build and to question ourselves, to build a line of reasoning and to question ourselves in a constructive manner, and hopefully this will be a fun environment. And I will bring examples. That's what I'm telling here with a research-driven teaching. So I'll try to bring examples from my own research or research from colleagues, try to build here a relaxing atmosphere, informative slides. So all my slides, I embed the slides directly to the literature in each slide. Takes a lot of time to prepare, but that's the way you can very easily go on a PDF on the OLAT platform, open them, and then again you are free to share your thoughts if something is going in the direction that you feel that is less constructive. So let's go now a bit more into economic geography before a break, maybe in 10 minutes or so. So this is you find this diagram in our in the economic geography working group page, very useful to understand how we position ourselves. So I position myself in economic geography through the lenses of or planning theory and the preoccupations towards sustainability. I mean social, ecological, and economic as well. So and then the world we live in is connected, is interconnected. Long time ago, countries, regions, they afforded to tell we are subsistent. We can produce everything we need, but these days it doesn't happen like that. The mobile phone we use, the laptops, all the components come from different parts of the world. Without these global supply chains, without these big container ships bringing goods across channels and sometimes blocking those channels, we wouldn't be able to sit here together located in different urban regions in Europe. So we look at these economic dynamics across scales, and this involves different players, different institutions, different legislation as well. And within economic geography, within the working group of economic geography in Kiel, we build our research from three main paradigms within economic geography: institutional economic geography, relation economic geography, and evolutionary economic geography, the core of this module. And you have all our publications very well organized in our website, where you can grasp into detail these differences across the disciplines. So within this working group, our understanding of economic geography is an understanding that what the organization of the economic landscape we see is the result of different players. So here, private actors, again, organizations, large non-for-profit organizations as well, they play a role in organizing these economic activities across the globe, across the planet. So we very much embrace, of course, this geographical context. For us, understanding is not our goal to understand if a company is making a large profit or if it's contributing 40% to the GDP of the country, but understanding their specific location and what are the factors that actually are influencing this company, this firm to reach these levels of profit. For example, try to justify if there is some embedded knowledge in this territory, if there is a strong path dependency. So I'm already dropping here some concepts that we will explore later. If there is some entrepreneur that is located in this territory that has been influencing the development of that territory, of that region, of that state through the years. And this is also, we are aware that all of these, the players, the firms, the organization as well, the infrastructures that support these economic activities are also embedded within institutional settings. And I mean here in the governance context. So we go beyond the government, beyond the public, and we put this into a discussion of the governance. That what is this? What the meaning of this is that, so within the governance and especially within an open economy we live in, private actors, they play a key role in the development processes. Sometimes they even are the engines of development in some regions. It happens less in Europe because of our regulations, but happens elsewhere in North America, for example, where economic players, they really play a determining role in the development of infrastructure. So we also pay attention to this, to the role of institutions, and maybe with the examples I will bring you later, let me not advance so much in this context. Again, the theoretical perspectives we share within our economic geography working group, the relational, because the economic actors, they do not act in isolation. So for a company, for a firm of tires to run in Germany, they need rubber from Indonesia, okay? Because Germany or other European countries, we don't produce rubber, and we need that for the tires. And in other contexts, some other industries in Southeast Asia, they need tools from Germany, or to produce some fashionable clothing. They may need textiles from Portugal. So these players, these economic actors, they do not act in isolation. They are not able, or they will not be able to produce their own goods. But here again, already building to our current context, there are concepts these days of degrowth, of slow innovation, that they try to counteract what I'm just telling. Okay, I'm not sharing with you the only way is this. Okay, they are all interconnected. It's not possible to build cars or laptops or without these global players. So there is a number of concepts these days, and a number of researchers trying to in the way, in a manner of supporting sustainability, in a way that they try to bring back to the countries through the idea of embeddedness and regional autonomy, try to justify that the regions can have a much less environmental footprint if they concentrate their production in what they are good to do. So this will impact also our own behavior as a consumers. So this is also a very important if we are talking about evolutionary perspectives, because all these activities, these economic actors, they have an history. There is in a process. Maybe they start in a garage. Some examples as well around us. Maybe they start as a startups coming from universities. I don't know, some founded project for developing some tourism activities in a more ecological setting, for example. But this also happens because of an institutional context that sometimes hinders, I mean, blocks the economic process. Okay, you cannot produce these plastic bottles in this location because this is highly pollutant, and we have an environmental law that doesn't allow you to do that. Okay, that is this institutional context. And in other cases, tell that, well, you entrepreneur, startup owners, let's call like in this way, you are very welcome in our region, in our territory, because we have now here a package of financial incentives that can help you to boost your activity. So there's this two-way path, one institutional context that can block an economic process and then will impact the organization of the economic landscape. And then when comes economic geography as a research to play a role in this context, and in other cases can facilitate the processes. So this is always better with a number of examples, and I will try to bring in each lecture examples that can help you and us all together to understand this process. And I think just let me, yeah. Now comes a heavy slide, and maybe we will do here a 5 minutes break. If this is okay with you, we can all drink a bit of water or something, and then we catch up again in 5 minutes, 5 minutes sharp. That's all right?
Okay.
Good. See you soon. Okay, we have 30 seconds. I'm counting here just to be sharp on the subject. And I hope you are not thinking to drop the course and you are finding this interesting. So let's carry on with our lecture, and I may be a bit more succinct in some of these slides ahead. And the key element of this slide is multidisciplinary perspective that we will embrace within this module. So we look at evolutionary economic geography from different angles, from different disciplines, and I invite you also to do the same in your exercises and also in your daily life, because everything is economy, everything is social development, and utmost ecological aspects will also be present in our decision making in everyday basis. So we look at this exploration of economic geography concepts and theories applied to economic and social development, again from this multidisciplinary perspective. Why? If you think about, for example, cocoa, you could just simply make an economic analysis of it. The large companies producing chocolate or transforming cocoa into chocolate. But within economic geography, if we are doing an exercise in this level, of course, we could have a module only to debate these supply chains. Be aware of that. And also the literature goes from land use science to land use planning to economic geography. Just so what I want to share with you with this slide is that if we think about the chocolate we eat regularly or in our desserts or in other manners, so they come from cocoa, and this has ramifications to the production. They are mainly mainly in the global south, in African countries. It impacts the consumption, our own behavior as well, but also in between there is this transformation process, the distribution, and that's a multidisciplinary perspective here when we are thinking about one economic activity in space is the impact that cocoa production or the consumption of chocolate has in the communities and the human rights. So when we are talking about cocoa, we have to look at different domains, the human rights, that this in some contexts impacts or leads to child labor, human traffic, in some contexts to the degradation of living conditions of the local communities in Ghana or in Côte d'Ivoire, the largest producer of cocoa in the world, and it has also tremendous environmental impacts within those territories by clearing, for example, native forest or tropical forest, if you will. So, and when you look at your Christmas table and you see all those desserts made of chocolate, for example, we also, and it is our role, and what I want also to bring to you, that we have to think beyond what we are seeing. And all of this, the consumption of meat is another example, along with cocoa and the soya beans, for example. The impact this has not only in the communities in terms of their developments, it contributes to the degradation of the living conditions. In some cases, it impacts these communities to the point they have to resettle. I mean, they live in one village, okay, and they have to move elsewhere because these large companies, they want to clear the land to build to plant for agriculture or forestry, for example, for production of paper. So we have these deforestation hotspots, primarily in the global south, Central Africa, in the tropical forest of the Congo Basin, for example, and the case of Amazon. And then it's important to make the relation between these large producers of beef in the world and the economic and the deforestation hotspots, that you produce cattle or cows, if in another terminology. This impacts tremendously the forests, tropical forests in Amazon, and also in other parts of Latin America, Southeast Asia, more for other commodity crops, and in Central Africa as well. So there is clearly a discrepancy here between the largest producers of beef and these deforestation hotspots. This is clearly an economic geography subject. Among other disciplines. So when we look at this from economic geography perspective, we have to bear in mind all these impacts towards communities and towards the environment. And in also, okay, I mentioned to you before the institutional context. Okay, and also in this context, you are also looking at the production, the consumption, the profitability, or the transformation of cocoa, or the transformation of eucalyptus trees into paper. Let's call it's another word which I now forgot. But we also have to bear in mind the institutional. When I mean institutions, means I also mean laws. I mean regulations. I mean international agreements such as the Kyoto Protocol, or even going back to 1991, the Rio de Janeiro Declaration. And we have to look at these things that if you turn your coffee bag or your chocolate around, you may see these fair trade logos. That means that hopefully these in the production process from the very basic seed to the final product, they are respecting certain standards, certain sustainability, certain ecological standards, and now very core of this supply chain in Germany, also some social aspects, and there is still in my to the best of my knowledge, I'm discussion within Germany about the supply chain law that, according to my knowledge, also applies mostly to this garments industry, the production of textiles, of pullovers, t-shirts. They are these companies in Germany that subcontract companies, for example, in Bangladesh. So this supply chain law, okay, as a result of what? Of one institution impacts the organization of the economic landscape. Clearly, here a discussion within economic geography linked embracing a multidisciplinary perspective to sustainability principles. And you have here the definition in German, if this helps you to associate or to recent news in your outlets, and etc. So we have to bear in mind that is also a number of background conditions that are support or are there to create synergies, or also to counteract the trade-offs, means the negative aspects, and turn them into positive ones. So we'll be going through more or less this or embracing this multidisciplinary perspective throughout our lectures, from a more specific context of evolution, economic geography, and these societal challenges, focus on the core of economic geography through an evolutionary perspective. And this means talking about clusters, niches, entrepreneurship, socio-economic transformation of regions. And I'm here also bring my own insights from my research again, and of course path developments and path dependence lock-ins. These are all essential concepts within evolutionary economic geography, very well explained in the literature. And resilience thinking, how some regions then overcome their negative conditions, and all this also goes along in the territory. Very core concepts again of evolutionary economic geography, how some regions use their own skills, and you will find in the literature the word of routines. Routines are these skills, this capacity of working out some products or some raw materials and transform them into final products. The related and unrelated variety that exists in a territory, in a region, for example, this will lead us to place-based policies, some strategic thinking in regional development that also tries to bridge different aspects of society, economy, and social aspects. And we'll also try to understand what some of these large corporations and not so large are doing to support a more responsible, to embrace a more responsible attitude towards us, towards the society, and how this is played in a global context. And we have this strategic coupling, and we will conceptualize and go beyond this conceptualization of smart specialization strategies, very popular within economic geography research, within evolutionary economic geography, and particularly in Europe, will also where and also some other territories in the global south are trying also to explore this concept. And then the final lecture will be about thinking through all of these past 10 lectures and how we can evolve in this economic geographic thinking and bring new concepts such as degrow, slow innovation, and some of these aspects. I see that we already lost two colleagues. We have only now 16 participants, so hopefully we can you can catch up later on if this is your own desire. So here's some important sources, and I can then, if I have the time, I can give you an example. If not today, maybe later on how to do a very quick search on Google Scholar, for example, for the material, the topics you want to explore, and I'm always very helpful in between the end of the classes and the seminar in guiding you how to do a smart research. But these are the main sources for literature within evolution economic geography, and we have papers only that explore concepts within evolution economic geography. So forget about exploring definitions. You find definitions in the literature in the OLAT. In these cases, in this economic geography at the Utrecht University, you will find examples of this smart specialization place based on a lot of path creation and path dependency, and how this, for example, interrelates with the entrepreneurship and the role of the state or the role of private actors. The same goes for this database from the University of Lund in Sweden. Some of the common names you will come across of literature from Ron Bosman in the OLAT platform, Christian Schulz, some of them also write in German as well, Kuhn, Franken as well, and of course our own economic geography working group that you can also consult the literature from our former colleagues or colleagues conducting research, such as Professor Robert Ansik as well. A lot of interesting and very simplified explanations of evolution economic geography, and also some of the main journals where we try to publish our findings and where we go to look for answers sometimes as well. Economic Geography, the Journal of Economic Geography, these are fundamental databases to look for specific literature. And if we want to go beyond economic geography and think in this multidisciplinary perspective, we may go to journals such as the Ecology and Society, or if we want to be more focused in the regional context, we certainly go to the Regional Studies Journal. So here with these hyperlinks and just the impact factor, that's here a variable that is always very important within academic research. So now we go again a little to try to, in a more serious matter, defining here economic geography. This is how economic process intersect with the geographical organization of the society. I've been talking to you about all of this, and this goes about understanding and identify these key agents: firms, labor regulations, the role of the state, and the drivers. What are these drivers? These are innovation, institutions, the entrepreneur, the role of the entrepreneurs, the role they play in moving from idea to a serious investment in an industry, in a firm, in an industry. I mean, from the second sector, industry as a core, as a production of goods, transformation of raw material, also to service, and in this context that we try to understand this uneven territorial dynamics, why some territories are more developed than others, and also try to pave the way or to provide policy recommendations as well for them to trigger some change, okay, to support these regions that are locked in a development process. They can't really go beyond their current state. Populations are leaving. They are trying to find a job elsewhere, so they are also losing some economic dynamics. How to help them through policy recommendations. That's the extent, the maximum extent we can go, unless we engage with some decision making at a European or state level or federal level. Try to enable some change in these territories. And in this context, we try to look at this process of production, consumption, and distribution, and the exchange in between, and in the informal and formal and informal economy. You know that in the informal economy also still plays a very important role in some geographies worldwide, and it's also important. And some of the informal economies, they are essential to the livelihoods of communities, not in Europe, where everything is very much formalized and depends very much on strong regulations from different entities, from different agents, as you see over there. Okay, but in other contexts, there's a lack of governance. There is a very weak governance. There is a state that sometimes a government that is embedded in networks of illicit business. Let's call it corruption as well. So there is a lot of informal economy that is needed to trigger some sort of development. So we build our thoughts by bringing together planning, sustainability, regional developments, and governance as well. So a couple of examples in terms of questions that we try to focus in a large scale. What factors explain these pockets of poverty in global cities such as New York? So they are thriving in terms of market, in terms of service-oriented economy, they are moving towards the knowledge economy. So a lot of innovation taking place there. They have a large number of patents registered in these cities, a number of startups, yet there is some inequalities within these cities. So economic geography tries to focus on this context, and not only in the global north, but also in the global south. For example, in India, try to understand the emergence of these urban slums in Calcutta, for example. And these are questions that you have to back them through the lenses of globalization and understanding the impact of the globalization upon the labor market, for example, and upon local communities. I think this is a core focus within economic geography that is important to keep exploring. So again, we focus on this uneven development and regional inequalities, try to balance why you see here in this first picture there is apparently a thriving urban region in the background, but probably in support of this thriving community, thriving urban region, there is a slum. There's a lot of poverty. There is also environmental degradation that sustains these thriving or advanced regions at the expenses of other territories. So it's important to think very specifically about all these ramifications within the development of economic geography. So we try the role of economic geographies. We put an emphasis on identifying and analyzing these various networks, these ramifications I told you just now, and these flows across the space. So they are fundamental for us to understand the organization of the economic landscape. That's this is the core. I could simply end the lecture right now by telling that this is our goal within economic geography. Try to understand all this interconnectedness and try to justify the economic landscape. But there is much more than this. There's a number of concepts that have been developed through different reasoning, through different types of research that try to justify these uneven developments, the regional inequalities in different domains. So there is one branch of research that focus on the commodity production, that focus on this production, but in a global scale. So we look at some place-based approaches, why some the specificities of the countries, of territories, of regions in terms of their tangible and intangible capacities. For example, their capacity to transform raw material, for example, textiles into clothing, for example, or transforming some other material in the final product. So there is some embedded knowledge that supports this context, some special skills. What in the literature of evolutionary economic geography we will see embedded within the concept of routines. So, and this happens do globalization across scale. So it's important to look at these innovation systems in a global context, what is taking place in China in terms of the development of these apps for entertainment certainly will inspire startups in Germany or in the Netherlands or in New York to develop with something better or something very similar. So there's this always this innovation process that they do not stick to a territory. They emerge from one territory, but very easily go all around the world, and this leads to the diversification, okay, and also leads to clusters, to the emergence of very specific locations where these industries start popping up, okay, and then maybe they starting understanding that instead of requesting raw material from different territories, they they try to build their own complementary activity industries, and they try to locate them nearby, so they minimize the transportation costs, yet to really supply them with the raw materials. These supply chains are still very fundamental, and also we have a role to play as consumers. If it depends of what kind of attitude we embrace. If we embrace a more attitude towards sustainability, we may reframe our consumption patterns and try to go try to select products that are more we believe more sustainable, but sometimes the more sustainable products are those also more expensive, and then this creates also some inequalities within the consumer society. So yeah, it's very nice and very forward thinking to think, okay, all the products should be sustainable, should respect these sustainability standards I talked to you before, the fair trade and respecting human rights, etc. But also this also creates inequality because they become more expensive. Okay, they are more durable, so you can wear, if you invest in a good t-shirt, it can last for 10 years, but it costs you 5 times more than a less good t-shirt. But this also creates inequalities. Not everybody affords to buy this durable product. So a lot of elements here to play and to bring into the context. And I'm also open to bring these new concepts such as the circular economy, the slow innovation and slow consumption into play, as I think they are fundamental in our understanding. And again, why? Because this is everything, these concepts, even if we are talking only about theoretical concepts, so circular economy still is very much a concept, very much a theoretical, but as evolved through time, and then there are already now some applications. So we are talking about an evolution, and here our preoccupation is trying to understand which of these theoretical nodes from evolutionary economics support economic geography. And I think I will carry on, and I will do a break where I will send an email to Robert, and we will come to give some inputs on the seminar in German, if in case you want, if you have some doubts. But now let's carry on with this historical perspective, something I want to cover now instead of leaving to the next lecture. So the literature we will see in your OLAD, they will explain a little bit these reflections or this bridge between the evolutionary economic geography, the neoclassic economy, which is important here for you to for your background, okay? But most of the literature you will see published in these days in these journals, as I shared with you, they very much embrace a more qualitative/quantitative approach, and they bring case studies. So evolutionary economic geography bridge goes back to the time of Charles Darwin and the evolutionary biology principles to Thorstein Veblen. You also have some of these books in your OLAT. Joseph Schumpeter, the father of entrepreneurship as well. And it goes to explore very in-depth all this evolutionary economic theory, which we will not go through, and all these concepts, path dependence, clusters, entrepreneurship, path development, related and unrelated variety among industries, all that their theoretical genesis, okay, if you understand me correctly, that theoretical genesis comes from these sources, let's say. So if you really want to go in depth, then you have these materials here to explore. And just building here the bridge between this evolutionary biology. So they came with these five concepts, terminologies: the heritage, selection, so mutation, coevolution, and local dimension. And how economics, they embrace this evolutionary thinking. So they start thinking about, okay, heritage means the importance of the past, the values, both tangible, something that you can touch, and the intangible, you cannot see yet they play a role, the customs, some traditions, some cultural behaviors. So the translation from this heritage to economics goes through the routines, skills, learning by doing, this savoir-faire from French, this know-how, very common as well. So there is this tacit knowledge, is the knowledge that I know, that your parents know, that your friends know, this common knowledge about how to deal with things. And then we all be able to do some small stuff. We may be able to even transform some raw material in something that we can use. So there is this tacit knowledge that you don't go to the university to learn how to do some stuff, okay? And there is also a dimension of that involving costs. Within evolutionary biology, there is this concept of selection, which we translate to evolutionary to economic thinking as the competition. So there is an environment where different firms compete. There is a market structure, and these companies that try to position themselves in this market context. Again, there is the institutions I talked to you about already a lot of times. There is this territory, this spatial dimension that impacts this selection of the territories, and then the competition. Mutation is translated as innovation, co-evolution into co-production. This goes hand in hand. Some research approaches as a co-production, others as a co-creation. For example, in terms of tourism activity, you will read a lot about co-creation, co-production, very much associated also the way urban regions are planned and managed. And we have this local dimension. It goes in line with these policies of place-based dynamics, clusters, niche, and these pockets of entrepreneurship and entrepreneur development. Some difference between the evolutionary economics and the neoclassic theory, and very much the core concepts here is that one tries to reach an equilibrium, and the critics try to justify that it's not possible to reach this equilibrium economic process. There is a number of process of change that impact this equilibrium. There is a number of factors. There is this path dependence that is fundamental to the organization of the economic landscape of currently. So this is the background of evolutionary economic geography, and then we go through the time. Then the discourses. Okay, I told you about in the beginning about this social construct. So it's also important to think about these discourses. There is also a lot of discourses that we hear today, this digital transformation and this circular economy. It very much depends of this. That's place-based. This everything part of the discourse that tries that is the result of this evolution. So there's also different types of technological change that came along these years since Charles Darwin. Now we talk much more about entrepreneurial. There's this entrepreneurial discourse, and then Joseph Schumpeter came to solidify this concept of entrepreneurship, and we'll discuss it in the next lecture. So there is process of innovation. They are incremental. There's also they evolve through time, and they start playing a key role within the economy. So that's this led to some technical economic revolutions and new paradigms within the evolution. And here, particularly important in this context of entrepreneurship, business dynamics is the Joseph Schumpeter literature. Again, very important within the background, was one of the first to theorize about entrepreneurship. And Schumpeter identified this innovation as a critical dimension of economic change within territories. So he came with this so-called Mark 1 and Mark 2. The Mark 1, where he brings into play this concept of entrepreneurship, the creative destruction, new ideas that come to disrupt others, in a way disrupt others, but they take some sort of advantage to go forward. And then he evolves also in his own way of thinking and start thinking about how research and development, R&D, in large enterprises. And then that's the point where some enterprises also starting having a focus only not only in transforming raw materials in production, but also in developing ideas how to be more efficient, be more also productive in the processes. So they start embedding research and development or labs within that production chain as well. Okay, I know that this may sound a bit heavy, and before we can still carry on a little bit more on this evolutionary economic geography. More specifically, I thought the next lecture will be essentially focused on this paradigm within economic geography. A key definition that within evolutionary economic geography analyzes and explains the process by which the economic landscape, okay, the spatial organization, the economic production, circulation, exchange, distribution. So just think about something you have in just in front of you. Think about how this your pen, your notebook, whatever, came to your own place. This they have been produced elsewhere, they have been distributed, and then there's a lot of interactions along the way since since an idea, since this niche of innovation, since the research and development of an idea until the final product. So there is an evolution process, and it's another element, that's the element of time that is important within economic geography. So evolutionary economic geography tries to understand all these dynamics: production, circulation, exchange, consumption, etc., within time. It means that here is a solid definition. So we are not as evolutionary economic geographers, not so much preoccupied or not concerned about specific industry in our neighborhood or in the surrounding area, but to try to understand that evolution through time. So often in these studies, in this literature, you find in your e-learning platform and elsewhere, you always have a starting date. So this is trying to understand this process since the 50s, for example, or since the moments, for example, after the Second World War, how this industrial development in Europe took shape after the Second World War, which players played a key role in the development of industry in Germany after the Second World War. So these are the types of preoccupations within economic geography. We are concerned about this spatial dimension, innovation, the development of new firms, of new industries in space, also how they interlink with each other in this context, understanding the behaviors of economic agents. What does it behavior seed can mean a lot of things, but it is also, there's also a branch of research within evolution economic geography that looks at this, sometimes these cultural behaviors in entrepreneurship. There are some countries that are more risk averse, and others they like to take risks. So there is the levels of if it's possible to measure the number of startups, for example, or the number of patents registered. So some countries, they really embrace the risk. They take the challenges to create a new firm, even if then they go into bankruptcy, for example, while others, they are very, very much cautious about this. So the levels of entrepreneurship are much lower in comparison. So economic geography also tries to look at these processes of development of firms, of new firms, of also ideas that lead to final products. So all process of innovation, and it is within this context that comes the concepts of path dependence and path creation that we will devote a lot of time later on. And here's the definition in German, if you feel more comfortable with it. And so I don't want you to feel scared if you are finding now this lecture very much overwhelmed. Just please be relaxed. I will be here to guide you to the best of my knowledge and the best I can. So there's this book is already in your platform. And there is the chapter number 8. You have all of these, the genesis of economic geography, this from the Charles Darwin evolutionary biology, the difference between economic thinking and the neoclassic theory is very well explained in German in this book. So there is also similar literature that explains to the same level of detail and quality also these processes of how evolutionary economic geography came to be the discipline that it is today. The element that is also important, and I also put it in the title of the first lecture, was governance. So this is in line with what I talked to you about in the beginning, this institutional context. Also, there is a branch within governance theory that is called evolutionary governance theory. And this goes very much, I think, plays well, and the literature also justifies, not only my way of thinking, this reference justifies that it aligns well with these evolutionary perspectives within economic geography. So governance, again, I'm not talking only about the government, but also a number of actors that play a role within this organization of the society, not only the economic landscape, but the society. So public and non-public actors, they play a role in the organization of the societies and of the markets as well. And these governance structures, they evolve. The laws evolve, the decision makers evolve, the players evolve to the point of, you can also discuss here, the evolution of ideas, and then this can go into a somehow dangerous field of understanding political positions, if more left wing, if more right wing, and the way this also influences the organization of the society. So that's a core preoccupation or evolutionary governance theory, or the organization of the economic landscape, a core preoccupation of evolutionary economic geography. So what we see today in our economic landscape is the result of this evolution through time, very much sometimes influenced or played by one actor, the entrepreneur, the owner of the industry, but also we should not forget this governance context, the public and the non-public entities that eventually play the role, and they also evolve it through times. So if we go back to the beginning of the century or to the period after the First World War, the ideas of development back in the days are slightly different than those we see currently because of because the society just evolved. We are now more concerned about certain patterns of consumption that we are not concerned about the past. Now we are concerned about eating less meat because we know that impacts deforestation in the global south. We are concerned about the type of t-shirt we are wearing because we know that it impacts the human rights in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka and other countries as well. All right, so that's the key message of this linkage within the governance, the evolutionary governance theory. And again, a very exhaustive definition in this context that is tried to in the same way that evolutionary economic geography tries to look at this path dependency, the role of history, the roots that these firms or enterprises are attached, governance within governance theory, trying to also to look how this market, state, and laws they relate in different contexts. Okay, the idea of bringing this governance theory is not to be exhaustive and not to very massive in your mind at the moment, but also to help us to reflect about the evolvement of the society the organization of the society in general that evolved from a more standard government approach. So this governance is not well, it's not so new concept, but you cannot trace it back to the 16th century, and so it's some sort of a kind of new concept that brings about also the idea of more participatory approach in this organization of society, and also play the role in the way that societies are democratically organized or not. Okay, two slides just to summarize, and I know that this probably has been very heavy. I hope that then the literature and then you recall the slides and the lecture in video or sound as well, depends of how I can upload this. We try to disentangle a little bit this evolutionary economic geography, more to come in the next lectures, and that deals with this uneven distribution of the economic activity across space and evolves over time. Okay, that's the key message basically of our lecture, and there is also a number of differences between the evolutionary thinking and the neoclassic theory. Here's a summary of this what economic geography entails, and we'll be devoting almost one lecture to each of these elements they are pointing out here, such as the clusters, niche entrepreneurship, path dependence, path creation, co-evolution in aligned with co-creation, co-production in organization of the space as well. So some of the key message within economic geography, and this is the last course slide of the lecture. We have some time now to discuss about the details of the seminar, and because you may have some questions that you would like to pose in English, I will call now Robert to join the lecture, and you will present to you, because there's some sort of reformulation within this seminar. So we'll do here a 5 minutes break. I will drop him an email, and we'll meet each other again with Robert hopefully in 5 minutes. Okay, so see you very soon all together. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
We are now in I take this my 5 minutes break, and
Oh, so there's not. Okay,
it's just,
we're now on a break. So
yes, it's just 3 minutes to go. I'm
okay, okay. And so you didn't start with the seminar yet.
No.
Okay.
That's the first slide. And do you want to go first? And you can tell that if they have questions in German, then they can make it in German. So it's better.
Yes. Yeah, I can do that. I can just.
Okay, and they are
Talk a
aware of
little
that.
bit about the seminar and explain that we do it together. Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, just a couple of minutes, then.
Yeah.
Then it goes. So that's this. These are the slides I I shared
Yeah.
with you yesterday the same process, and
Yeah.
I told them already that they are free to come to me in English, in German as well, if they have some issues in German, then I will try to answer as well. So
Mm.
to put them in a more comfortable, also comfortable place. We have 17. We had 18 participants, now 17 or
Yeah,
16.
it's a bit strange because there are more students registered for the seminars. So yeah, I would have expected
More.
uh,
Mhm.
more. Yes. So maybe the next week, I think you continue next week.
Yes.
It would be good to check. And also next week 2 times. Maybe you can check 2 times the attendance, and if
Mhm.
then you can compare with the list that registered for the seminar and the ones who haven't showed up. So then they maybe we could send them a short email or something that but if they still are in the seminar or not, or yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe because today, Thursday, one of the students wrote to me that he or she wouldn't be able to attend,
Yeah, okay.
and so let's see on Tuesday. Tuesday is the next.
Yes, next week then, just because then if it continues like this, then apparently because they have to attend this lecture if they want to attend the seminar.
Mhm.
It's a precondition because this is where they build up
The case.
yeah, the knowledge to have a good seminar. So only if they attend this and write the exam, this it's together.
Mhm.
It's the
Exactly.
lecture and the seminar. So it's one module. So they cannot stay away from the lecture all the time and then turn up if the seminar starts.
Mhm.
So there's something you should stress maybe next week.
Okay. Yeah, I will
I
do
mean,
that.
you cannot check the attendance all the time, but I think I would stress that a few times. And if like as I said, a group of 5 or 6 students do not turn up regularly the next week, then we should send them an email reminding them of this, that this is one module. They cannot attend the seminar without attending the lecture.
Okay, we can now go. The time is up.
Okay, yeah.
We can get ahead. I think they are probably all listen to us now.
Okay.
So hello everyone. We are now back for this short introduction of the seminar, and Professor Robert Ansik is with us, and he will shed light on how this seminar will be organized. So I give the word now to Professor Robert.
Yes, hello. Welcome to the seminar. You all know me already, of course, because of previous lectures in the first semester mainly. Eduardo, I think, has already introduced you into the basics of evolutionary economic geography and the outline of the lecture for the rest of the semester. And as you know, this lecture is part of a module which consists of a lecture and 2 seminars. Since so far there have been not so many people registering for the seminar led by Eduardo in English, we decided to put them together. So we will have now a block seminar on the in end of June, basically, and then one appointment in July, and we expect you to attend all the meetings because we in total. I mean, now we have only 17 students. We expect actually about 25 students in total. About 5 for the English-speaking seminar on the 2nd of July, and the rest for um, the German-speaking one in the end of June. So the seminar, of course, builds on the lecture. So it's very important to attend the lecture regularly because you build up basically a vocabulary and a knowledge about evolutionary economic geography. And the better you attend the lecture, the better also the seminar will be, because then we can really deepen the knowledge you have based on on the lecture in the seminar. So what do we expect in the seminar? It's quite the usual classical way of organizing. We have like presentations by you on a topic that is related to the lecture. Of course, you can choose the topic yourself, but there should be some link to what is presented in the lectures. Can be either in German or English. Then we have like a discussion that might be new for some of you. After your presentation, some of the other students will be the discussant or co-referent in German, where you are supposed first to say what you liked about the presentation, but also where you see some gaps. And then also on the basis of this identification of gaps or missing elements, you could also then come up with some questions for discussion. And then after the discussant has given this contribution to the presentation, we will have a discussion also led by the discussant. So the discussant is actually both dealing or commenting on the presentation, but also then leading the discussion after his or her comments. And these comments and also the discussion are very important for the presenter, because with the help of these comments and also with the help of the discussion, you will be able to improve your paper, your assignment. So please take this very seriously. It's not just, this has a function. The discussion and also the comments by the discussant should be used for improving and finishing off of your paper. So we will really look at this very carefully. For example, if there are very good comments by the discussant, and if also in the discussion there's some very good comments and questions asked, but you do not do anything with that in writing the paper, that's of course then a missed opportunity. So please take this seriously, make notes as a presenter on these comments and on the questions asked. And of course, you don't have to deal with all the things if you don't think if you think they are not really relevant. But if they're relevant and if they are useful, then please use them. So this is the one part of the presentation and the discussion led by the discussant. Then you're expected to write a paper, which should be a maximum of about 3,500 words, excluding the references, Literaturverzeichnis. So the references, Literaturverzeichnis, is extra, so to say, doesn't count in these 3,500 words. We are flexible concerning the layout and the font and everything else. The only thing we ask you is to use the line spacing of 1.5, so that there's enough space between the different lines. So what about the timetable? How does it continue? We want you to, of course, attend the lecture, make thoughts about things you like about the lecture, and then spend some thoughts also on what you want to present on. So if you think, okay, this is really interesting in the lecture, then maybe you just look a little bit further into the literature, and then you can develop some first thoughts on a topic. If you have a first topic, then please contact us. So the ones presenting on the 20, like so to say the German seminar, they contact me. The ones who registered for Eduardo's seminar, they contact Eduardo for a first talk until the 1st of June, at the latest. So please register in the office hours, visit us, and then we can have a talk about the topic you would like to do. You can, of course, come earlier. This is the final date. Please, the earlier you come, the better, of course. If you have already a good idea, don't hesitate to come to us and to talk about it. Then we will after this first talk, we will give you some feedback, some guidance. Maybe the topic is too broad or too narrow, or it doesn't fit enough to the lecture. We will give you some guidance to find a really good topic that fits well to the lecture. And then we want you to send us then the final topic by the at the latest by the end of by the 8th of June, and so that we can then make also a schedule for the seminars. As soon as we have like the final presentation, we can make a schedule, and we will send around, of course, the schedule, who presents when and who is discussant to which paper. That's what we will then send around after we know the presentation topics, the final ones. Then until the 15th of June, we want you to contact us with a small kind of abstract with the structure as well of the presentation and the aim of the presentation, and also a first list of references so that we know what kind of literature you have used so far in preparing the presentations. So please come to us then until the 15th of June, so to talk about this in the office hours. And then we'll also provide opportunity for one-to-one consultation for the last preparations for the presentation. Then we want you to, this is also some additional, you do not have to finish the whole paper by the time you're going to present, but we would like you to finish at least an extended abstract of your paper that should be sent around to all of us so that we can all read these extended abstract, and it's particularly important for the discussants. So particularly discussants have to read these extended abstracts so that they can already spend some thoughts about the questions they're going to ask, about some strengths and weaknesses, or things the discussants liked about the abstract and what they didn't like so much. So please send this in time, this extended abstract, to everybody, so that we can prepare, that everybody can basically prepare and read already the abstracts before we will meet during the seminar. Then you present your paper, so to say, or the extended abstract. As I said, make notes then, because there will be comments made by the discussants, comments made by the teachers, but also there will be questions asked by the other students. And then you have a chance to finish the paper after the seminar, and we expect you to finish that the paper within 21 days, within 3 weeks after your presentation, as a final version that is then sent by email as a PDF to Eduardo or to me, depending on whether you've done it on the 2nd of July to Eduardo, and the other dates and to me. Any questions so far concerning what I've presented here, concerning the timetable and the what we expect you to do?
I have a question about the extended abstract. So is it just the first 1,500 words, or is it like a summary of our paper, what we're going to do? And so we can send them all and finish it afterwards, the presentation? Or what can I understand under extended abstract?
Extended abstract is just a little bit longer version of the short abstract you write at the very beginning. So it's somewhere in between the very short abstract and the full paper. So where you already write some, like you have like an introduction with a short few lines with the aim of the paper, and then also the rest of the paper, you just write the first line, so to say, and then later on you just add to these first lines. So it's basically a short version of your paper. And of course, if you are further, if you have already finished a first draft of your paper, by then that's also fine. It's just, this is like the minimum we expect, because if we don't have that and we have only a very short abstract, that's too little information, particularly for the discussant, to prepare for the comments, basically. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. does answer my question.
If you have questions in German, it's also fine, of course. Don't hesitate.
I have also a question, but it's rather on the seminar or the presentation of these dates.
Yeah, sure.
Is it possible to, because I have overlapping seminars on Friday, the 25th, just 2 hours, is it possible to be away for this time, or is it
2 hours is fine. Just inform me about it in time, particularly before I will make the schedule, of course. That's important that I know then. Or I mean, the best thing is you just tell me if you are in the office hours talking about the topic and so on, and then just inform me, and then
yeah, thank you.
There's no problem. Any other question?
I have a question as well. What about the choice of topics? Do we get a selection, or do we choose completely on our own?
No, we have I mean, there is a list of topic areas. These are Themengebiete. So this is a bit, this is broader than what we expect you to do. But this is just, these are just suggestions.
Exactly.
So if you have your own idea, the better it is. I mean, we want you to
just
have your own baby, so to say. So the more you, so if you come up with own ideas that are related to the lecture, very good, even better. But if you have difficulties to develop your own idea, also no problem. You can just get some inspiration from these topic areas.
Yeah, and then after the next lectures, I think today was not was just an introduction. Maybe after the others other lectures, you will develop these ideas and also drop us an email as soon as you have that idea, so we can tell you where to go or how to polish it. And yeah, but you are certainly free to explore your own interest. Also, I mentioned to you earlier that this is the best way to write a paper, is the topic that interests you, and then you feel comfortable.
Okay.
And normally, I mean, during the lectures, the first lecture was very general, but in the course of the lectures, the topics will be more concrete, and there will also be given examples. And I think particularly the examples will probably then also trigger some interest and some. But if not, also no problem. Just contact us in the office hours, and yeah. So. As I said, these are just some first ideas to get some inspiration. But if you, so one option would be, okay, if you are in general interested in spin-offs, for example, there's one, the role of spin-offs and startups in region development. You go into Google Scholar, you type in spin-offs and startups in region development in German or English, and then you find some interesting empirical case with a lot of papers on that case, and this. You think this is really interesting, then of course it's perfectly fine to choose that topic. Of course, the availability of literature is a key issue. Of course, you can have some strong interest in the topic, but if there's hardly academic literature on that topic, then of course that's a little bit problematic. So there should be some literature available so that you can work with the literature. Of course, you can also develop your own ideas, that's fine, but it should be based on the analysis of academic literature. Any other topic or sorry, question or slide? I've forgotten.
No, slide no, that's the final.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay. So any other question? I mean, this will all be made available. The slides are downloadable on the OLAT website with all the details, but don't hesitate to contact us in the office hours. I think it goes very well online. You just register, you have your time, and then we can talk and we can answer all your questions, no problem.
Yep.
Okay.
So we can close it.
Yes. Then.
So thank
you.
Thanks
a lot for your attention, and have fun
Robert.
with the lecture, and see you in the office hours then.
Exactly. So thank you, Robert, for your time, and then I thank you also the students for joining us today. And see you next Tuesday, same time. and same
Yeah.
link.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Right.
Tschüss.
Bye bye.